Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast, the place for conversations with adaptive athletes in the CrossFit space and beyond. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, I'm talking with McKenzie Kravetsky. McKenzie is a rookie competing this year in the lower minor category, heading to her very first adaptive CrossFit games. She comes out of rural Wyoming, and she's a registered nurse, a judo black belt, and an Olympic weightlifter. Now, back in 2013, a head-on collision put her through a recovery most people can't imagine and left her with a right ankle that's now fused and immobile. But while she was still healing, she walked into a CrossFit gym and told them to, quote, "make me strong and unkillable." We get into how she trains around that fused ankle, the training discipline she carried over from martial arts, the brace that gave her back the ability to run and hike, and the work that she's been doing to bring adaptive divisions to competitions all across the Mountain West. So here's my conversation with McKenzie Kravetsky. McKenzie Kravetsky, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm glad to talk to you. You're a rookie this year in the lower minor category, and it's your first year really kind of doing the open, semis, and the games. So I thought we'd just start off with how did you discover CrossFit?
So my initial injury occurred back in 2013. I was in a pretty traumatic car accident, and while I was healing, I was actually taking my oldest son to a martial arts class, and then across the way there happened to be a CrossFit gym, and I walked in and joined right then and there, and I said, "Make me strong and unkillable. I never want to be weak again."
I love that. Make me strong and unkillable. I never want to be weak again. Do you feel like CrossFit's done that for you?
Oh, absolutely. It has changed my life in so many ways. Not just the physical aspect, but the consistency and discipline, and honestly, just finding like great people to surround myself with that have been super supportive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. The community in CrossFit is peak. It's so good. So you started that story though by saying that you had an accident in 2013, and I think that might set up the story for why you're also an adaptive athlete. So can you go a little bit more into what happened in 2013?
Yes. So I was in a really bad car wreck. It was a head-on collision. I was in a small little Mazda vehicle, and I hit a truck head-on, a big dually. So it rolled over the top of my car, but I sustained multiple injuries from that. The airbag deployed, and I had facial trauma. I had to get my entire face reconstructed, bleeding of the brain, some internal injuries as well. So, ruptured spleen, broken ribs. I shattered my pelvis, had a rod put in my left arm as well. But the most extensive injury was my right ankle, and it was basically severed from my body during that car wreck. So they were able to salvage it and reattach the foot, but it obviously has since caused a lot of issues. So
yeah, I can imagine just the times I've rolled my ankles, how much it like doesn't feel right for a long time afterwards ever. And I couldn't imagine recovering from something like that. It's like it's never the same.
Correct.
Yeah. So when it comes to CrossFit, then that has to impact your ability to do things like, I would imagine, squatting.
Yes. Squatting is probably my biggest limitation. I have a really hard time getting full range of motion. Currently, my ankle is completely fused and immobile. So I just don't have that ankle flexion or extension to be able to do some of these movements to the best of my ability. So squatting's a big one. Other than that, I've become pretty adaptive to the rest of it.
Yeah. Do you jump rope? Like when you jump rope, do you pretty much have to push off of your left foot, off the ball of your left foot?
Do. And so I've gotten pretty good and efficient at singles. I still really struggle with double unders after, 13 years of doing CrossFit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would imagine it's hard having to just drive through one leg to get that height, to get up high enough to then get the rope to go under twice.
Yep. Okay. It's really hard.
And then probably wall balls aren't your favorite either?
Wall balls are not my favorite, although I do wear my weightlifters when I do wall balls. And so that helps a little bit.
Okay. So that's really interesting. You've discovered some adaptations that help you sort of get through some movements that would be harder to do because of your
Oh,
ankle.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I have some of my gym members make fun of me a little bit. I have like all of the things, like all of the wraps and all of the chalk and all of the, shoes. I come in with like 18 different pairs of shoes, depending on what workout we're doing, because I have to be
Sure.
really mindful of, like what I'm wearing and when I wear it. So it's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
well, and we were joking before we started recording that we're a bit older for adaptive athletes, and so it's like you've got to take care of that body no matter what. And for both of us, our bodies have been through a lot, and so it's like the extra shoes help,
You do,
and the
yeah.
wraps help.
Yep. The knee wraps, elbow wraps, wrist wraps, everything's wrapped.
Yeah, yeah. So what I love about your story about getting into CrossFit is obviously you didn't want to feel weak anymore. You wanted to feel strong. And you had some coaches there that were helping you kind of figure this thing out as you were going through it. And you said at one point, you said they helped you kind of fit in and feel like you belonged.
Yes, that is true. So, I was a little bit of an anomaly, when I first started back in 2013, CrossFit was still very new. And so it took a little while to figure out, what the workouts would look like for me.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually there was ownership change at our gym, and our new owner and my current coach, she's amazing. She has an extremely strong weightlifting background, so Olympic weightlifting background. And she's very smart with nutrition and everything else. And so she has been amazing, and then has also sustained her own injuries. And so our gym has everybody from teenagers to 80-year-old individuals. And so she's really good about coming up with skills and working with people to the best of their abilities.
Okay, so you're training at that gym, and then in 2025 or 2024, you sign up for the Adaptive Open for the first time. And that was your time when you kind of discovered that, oh, there's actually more people out there who do this with adaptations as well. And so you got the opportunity to kind of, well, hold on. Before that, were you doing Olympic weightlifting at that point then? Were you doing competitive Olympic weightlifting before you signed up for the Adaptive Open?
I was, yeah. So
Okay.
we had a big focus on Olympic lifting for a long time. And so I did do a couple of competitions more on a local level, but it was definitely something I was training for a long time.
Yeah. And so what was that like having to do that? I mean, you were telling me about like split snatches that you were having to do in these competitions.
Yes. So as mentioned before, I have a really hard time with squats. So like squat clean, squat snatches are really challenging for me. So basically it's all power cleans, and then I actually do the split snatches. So that's been interesting to try to learn. It's been hard to have people like coach me on how to like do that technique a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but my coach took a lot of time and worked with me on it. So
Which foot do you put in front then when you do that?
I'm trying to think. My left foot is actually forward, and then my right foot is back. So
Mm-hmm.
my, I guess, injured foot is the one that's on the back.
Yeah. I think when I split as well, I put my good foot forward and my
Hmm.
worst foot to the back. But then I think they tell you to like bring your back foot forward first. And I think I'd go the other direction. I think I get to keep my balance. I think I go the
Yeah,
other
I do.
direction.
I think I still do the front foot back first and then meet. So
Okay.
guess I should probably
Yeah.
watch a video of myself again.
So what was, when you were doing the weightlifting though, I mean, that had to have felt like strong and powerful. You were also doing powerlifting at that time. Like, were you finding that it was giving you purpose and meaning and ability to be able to do those things?
Absolutely. It's definitely empowering when you've been in a position where, everybody has to take care of you and you feel really weak, and then you're able to see the progress and build your muscles back up. And, honestly, people cheering you on when you're at
Mm-hmm.
these types of competitions. It was frustrating along the way because of my injury. I don't feel like I'm able to generate the type of power that I need to. There's certain things that I can't get to full extension because my foot's fused at 90 degrees. So I'm basically using the power of one leg to complete these movements.
Yeah.
And so progress has been really slow, but steady. And I think the consistency basically part of my success at this point.
Yeah, just having been doing it for as long as you've been doing it and committed to doing it in spite of the injury and in spite of the limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we were talking before we started recording. You've got 3 boys at home, two 17-year-old twins and 19-year-old boy. Growing up, 10 years ago, right? Or 13 years ago when all this happened, they were younger, but they've grown up with you just as you've been growing up doing this. What's it been like for your boys to see you getting stronger and fitter and pushing through your limitations?
It's been really cool to see. They've been super supportive throughout this whole time. Like they come with me to the competitions and they'll watch us and they'll come with me to the games when we go there. I've tried to get them into the gym a little bit and they've sort of discovered, weightlifting is more of their thing, maybe not so
Sure.
much the CrossFit, which is totally fine, but it's still a really good family experience. Like we do a lot of like community events and like fun runs and obstacle courses and stuff like that. And we're very active outside of the gym. And I think all of that just, helps us live the lifestyle that we want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure it's giving them kind of an idea of what they want to be when they grow up too, just active, and wanting to be more engaged in sports. Were they athletic already growing up? I know you mentioned martial arts.
They were, yeah, pretty decently athletic. Like they've dabbled in everything. For a long time, my husband and I actually ran the martial arts studio. So our entire family has our black belts in judo. So that was a big part of our lives for a long time. And we actually recently sold that gym to move on to different things, as the kids get ready for school and go off to college and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think the martial arts was key. It gave them a lot of discipline and confidence and ability to take care of themselves.
That's cool. You might be the first athlete I've talked to who's ever mentioned actually doing martial arts. And so I'm interested, have you found that like that translates well to CrossFit, kind of the body awareness that comes with martial arts?
Yes, absolutely. Being able to take falls and like the harder hits on your body and being in compromising positions and being vulnerable during competitions and things like that. And just martial arts is really good for the mental aspects as well. So there's like definitely a calming effect to it. And I think a lot of that translates well when you're trying to go into like a CrossFit competition.
Yeah. When you're doing martial arts, are there like mantras or anything like that you kind of tell yourself to stay calm?
No, it's mostly, at least not for me personally.
Sure.
It's a lot of deep breathing, meditation. So things like that, just making sure you really control your breath so you don't burn out. Sometimes the match will go 30 seconds and sometimes it'll go 20 minutes. And so you just have to be, I guess, prepared to go the distance.
Yeah. So then you find in CrossFit that deep breathing kind of helps you control your heart rate a little bit more in the middle of a workout?
Oh, yeah, for sure. My breathing technique has gotten so good. And I think that's like a big part of it, especially when you're doing like the lifts or like high volume repetitions and stuff, just figuring out how and when to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. I tend to hold my breath because growing up, I did a lot of diving, like scuba diving and free diving. And so I was always taught, take a really big, deep breath. And then when I started doing CrossFit, my coach would be like, no, you need to breathe more often. And then I would hyperventilate. So I never had good breathing techniques. Maybe I need some martial arts training as well in my life. Okay, so we're getting ready to go to the games. But before the games, you had open and semis. And this was your first year doing the open or semis. You signed up the year prior, but apparently didn't do the workouts, which is okay. But
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself this year doing the open and the semis?
I just learned, there's a lot of weaknesses that I have. There's always stuff that we can work on and improve upon. And I think just going through all the motions, like making sure like you read the rules, you read the regulations, you read the standards is a big one. I think that's like why we all do it, competing against people that hold themselves to that same standard. And so I think that's a really important aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, just the online aspect was a little bit challenging for me, that panic mode sits in as soon as you hit record. And I think that affected me a little bit more. So just staying calm in those times and just, relying on other people to help you through it and, tell you where you need to go and what you need to be doing. And I think that'll be really helpful.
Yeah, I think the panic of the recording is now replaced by the, oh my gosh, I can see the person right next to me who's beating me. Oh no.
Right.
or,
Exactly. And
or,
luckily for me, I'm going into it as like a learning experience,
mhm.
figuring out really what I need to work on and focus on for the upcoming season. And then hopefully next year be a little bit more competitive. So we're just going to go and meet new people and see the adaptive community and just be really grateful for the entire experience.
For sure. That's what my first year was like as well. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. I'm meeting guys with CP, and I've never met guys with CP before who are my
Hmm.
age, that kind of thing. To have a built-in community that you're going to find of these women in lower minor is a great group of people. And then the other adaptive athletes too, you're probably going to connect with people, and your boys are probably going to connect with people. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. The teenage games are going to be going on the exact same time that we're going
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
same
Yeah, because it's
venue.
at the
Your
same
boys are
place,
going to
which
love
is
that.
really cool. Yeah, and there's my coach's son, actually, he's pretty competitive in the CrossFit stuff. And so he's in the 14 to 15 division. And they had to opt out of semifinals this year, but he
Mm.
stands a really good chance. And so if they come down, it'll be really good for them to see as well and the other athletes and what it's about. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that they had everything like happening at the same time this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a really cool energy with everybody together in the same space. So, okay, so as we think about the games, is there one thing or two things that you're kind of working on as we go up to the games?
I am primarily focusing on my gymnastic skills at this point in time. I think it's an area where it's a lot of technique that I could develop. I feel like I have the strength for it. I just need to put in the time and energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the heavy lifts go, I'm probably not going to make as much progress in those areas. So I'm just focusing on the areas I think that I can control a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Just kind of work on those skills that'll go further and get those lifts up just a little bit, and then work on those gymnastics, kind of get more comfortable with them, especially under that high heart rate too, kind of the fatigue of competition.
Exactly. Yep.
This episode is brought to you by Equip Products. Whether you're a seated athlete, a single arm lifter, working through a neurological impairment, or coaching someone who is, Equip has the tools to make the gym actually work for you and for your adaptive athlete. They're partnered with WheelWOD, trusted by PTs and coaches, and they're the go-to source for adaptive fitness gear. Go explore everything they carry at equipproducts.com. There's something there for almost every adaptive athlete. So McKenzie, you are out in Wyoming and I am in Florida. I've never been to Wyoming, actually. I don't know. I can find it on a map, and I've been to Colorado, but I can't. Is it north or south of Colorado?
North of Colorado.
Okay, north of Colorado. Got it.
Same shape.
And you guys are a little interesting, right? Because I think you only have 2 House representatives and 2 senators, right? Like that's how few people there are in Wyoming?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Yep, our
Yeah.
population, we have less than 1 million people in the entire state.
That's crazy. And I don't know why I remember that in my head. It's probably like geography B or something like that I had to know it for. Anyways, we're not talking about geography right now. We're talking about CrossFit. So being in Wyoming, though, you're in a part of the country actually where a lot of CrossFit-y stuff happens. I know there's a big CrossFit community in Salt Lake City and elsewhere kind of in the Pacific Northwest. So you were telling me that you've connected with some CrossFit people in that area to kind of spread the good news of adaptive CrossFit.
Yeah, definitely. We've like my gym definitely likes to compete. We have a core group of competitors. And so it's taken us a little bit to figure out like where we can find other competitions. And, a couple of athletes have come from like larger cities. And so they say, go to like this gym if you're ever down there, or like this gym's running this competition. So let's sign up. And so, we use, Wodify a lot to look for those competitions, and then obviously like resourcing social media. So like looking for the gyms that are close by, following them, and just looking for those opportunities to be able to compete. And there's a lot of gyms that we've gotten pretty close with in like Idaho, and they're larger scale gyms as well. So they reach out to us if they have stuff coming up or what they know is going on. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, really good community associations.
Yeah. So some of those competitions then that are in the area, they don't have adaptive competition, or they don't have adaptive divisions, or do they, or are they starting to get them?
They are starting to get them. So a lot of the places we've reached out, like I've never actually competed in an adaptive competition before. However, there are some of these larger community events where there's definitely a lot of interest in it. So Summit Games out of Salt Lake is one of them. They are really working towards developing an adaptive division. They're hoping to have it by their fall showcase, but it might be something that happens during their spring competition.
Okay.
And that one's really cool. It's really big. They do like FitCon there in Salt Lake too. So
Mm.
it's a pretty massive event to bring awareness to everything.
Okay, cool. Are you going to try and go there when they have the adaptive division?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be competing either on a teams with my friend or if they do have the adaptive division, I will go that route for
Go
sure.
individually? Yeah, yeah. Cool,
Yep.
cool. And then are there other ones? Is there another one up there?
There is. So I also reached out to Mountain West Championships. They were a larger scale competition this year. They had online qualifiers for it. And so obviously, if you qualified, you go to the main event in the fall. Uh, they are actually probably looking to scale back the competition, but are looking
Hmm.
for ways to expand the community. So they want to either promote, smaller affiliates and for this competition or, offer some other things that are going on. They kind of ran into some struggles with SoCal's really close to their competition, which
Yeah.
does have a great adaptive division. So it's something that they would be interested in the future if there's enough interest in it for sure.
That'd be really cool. I think they might have been a semifinals competition or some sort of a competition a couple of seasons ago.
Yes, and I think that was ultimately sort of their goal and vision to
Okay.
get it to a big enough space where, I mean, even if CrossFit brought back like regionals, that would have been a really good opportunity to
Hmm.
have that space for it. So,
That's cool. And that's up in Boise?
yes, I believe
Okay.
it's officially like Caldwell, Idaho, but yeah,
Okay.
Boise area.
I know less about Idaho than I know about Wyoming. I remember when I was a kid putting together the map, like the puzzle map, like the wood puzzle map, and being like, "Oh, Idaho looks super cool," because it was just like a weird kind of state. Anyways, why am I getting back on geography again? Okay, so then you also were telling me that you ran across the good people from GoRuck who actually sponsored some stuff at the 24 adaptive games. And kind of been involved a little bit in the adaptive community back then, not so much nowadays, but you said you ran into them and they're working on a process as well.
I did, yeah. So my husband's been competing in Go Ruck events since as long as I've known him, and he actually competed in what they call Go Ruck selection, which is based off of like the military selection process. And so we went down to Jacksonville for that event this
Mm.
last year, and I had the opportunity to talk to one of their cadre Dan, and all of the cadre have been in the military of some form. So he was wearing a brace, and I was super interested in it because it looked like something I've been looking into for a long time. It was called the ExoSim brace, which is made by the Hanger Clinic. So these braces basically they are military grade limb salvage devices. So made for people that have had extensive injuries, but have been able to keep their limbs. And so it's sort of like a prosthetic,
Mm.
um, yeah, for limb salvage purposes. But anyway, so he gave me some information, told me who I could reach out to about it. And so I got connected with some people at the Hanger Clinic to get this brace. I didn't get the exosim. The one I actually got was called the reactive brace,
Okay.
but very similar. And so I got that back in March, and it's actually been pretty life changing. So I haven't been able to run for 3 years because of my injury, and this has allowed me to start running again. So I've slowly been picking up my distances, but can run probably about 5 miles now without stopping, which is huge for me. And I can go 20 plus miles like hiking and distances where like if I tried to do something like that before, I'd be done for days. Like I would be
Yeah.
out for, 5 to 7 days. So it's pretty cool to see.
That is really cool. And like all of this is coming because you're just kind of putting yourself out there, talking to people. Do you start the conversation from the standpoint of I do CrossFit and then I'm an adaptive athlete, or is because of the way you walk or the brace you wear like is pretty evident? How do those conversations kind of happen?
it's pretty evident that I have an injury. And so like with Dan, I just was like, yeah, I have like this going on too. I started with my injury and my, abilities, and he told me like it was life changing for him as well. So,
Mm.
and then after I got the brace, I reached back out to Go Ruck and told them like, like this conversation with Dan prompted me to do this. I qualified for the CrossFit Games adaptive division. And so I asked them actually if they sell like two different size shoes potentially, because they're super veteran based. They know a lot of these injuries where, people might need two different size shoes for either prosthetics or, similar devices or issues in general. So
Yeah.
they said, well, they don't sell, two different size shoes like that. They were able to send me an additional size for the shoes that I do have. So that was really cool and generous of them.
Nice. Wow. That's really cool. That's awesome. So these two competitions then, these Summit Games and the Mountain West Championship, it's kind of what I hear you saying is it's kind of still up in the air if they're going to have full adaptive at them, but to keep our ears to the ground to kind of hear about it.
Absolutely. And I think Summit Games, they are very serious about having an adaptive division. They have been working with another team to develop the programming. So I think it's
Okay.
something they are really going to try to promote in the near future. If not for the spring competition, definitely, or sorry, if not for the fall competition, definitely for spring 2027.
Okay, that's just super cool, and I love how you're kind of how you're raising all this stuff that again, me on the East Coast would not know about. This all these different pockets of people doing things. It's really cool to hear about that this is available and out there. I think we hear about the bigger stuff, right? Like Waza, whether it's in Miami or SoCal. Obviously, the games,
Mm-hmm.
and then I know about one that's local to me called Sea Dog. But I wouldn't have been able to tell you there were other comps out there doing adaptive divisions. So this is really cool.
I know. I would love to see like eventually a filter in like Wodify or like
Yeah,
competition corners so you could see like what types of divisions are available for you. So that would be something cool to see,
that'd be cool. We should we'll tag them in this. Make sure they make it happen. See if Waterfowl
right?
put it on their roadmap.
For sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Can I interest you in a lightning round?
Sure. Yeah.
What would be your ideal workout?
My ideal workout would be like fight gone bad, like a lot of body weight movements, high volumes, high endurance chippers. I'm pretty good at as well. So
Okay. Okay. Fight Gone Bad. I remember hearing that was like created for BJ Penn, I think, an MMA athlete. Because when he finished it, he said something like, it felt like I was in a 5-round fight that had gone bad.
yeah.
So
Yep.
I can see how that would connect with the martial arts background a little bit too, of just, all right, let's go. Let's go and
Yep.
let's hang on for as long as we can. I love that. What is a goal outside of fitness that you're currently working towards?
I'm a registered nurse, and so I'm just trying to, I guess, branch out a little bit. I currently work in the public health spectrum for Wyoming Medicaid. And so I'm just interested on maybe, moving into more of a functional fitness, functional wellness
Hmm.
center. And so just seeing what that's about, probably in the next 5 years, I'd love to open my own practice and help other individuals in a more holistic sense. So
Yeah. Do you have your L1?
I do not, but
Okay.
I am planning on getting it this year.
Okay.
I am a personal trainer for my gym though. So I do coach, but we're definitely working towards all the coaches, like, moving towards the level ones.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Do you find when you coach that it's easy or more difficult or just different because of your adaptation?
I think it's easier. I think a lot of people find me a little bit more relatable at the gym, and they trust that I will choose appropriate skills for them to use.
Oh, I like that. I like that perspective. When I used to coach, I think that was true, but I never put my finger on it. I think when I would tell someone, "Hey, you probably should try this," they would kind of go, "Oh, okay." They wouldn't fight me on it as much as I think they'd fight another coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to spend a rest day?
We are a very outdoorsy family, so we like to spend a lot of time outside. We go for a lot of frequent hikes. We do paddle boarding a lot. We ride
Hmm.
up in the mountains with our side by side and go camping a
Oh,
lot.
wow.
So a lot of outdoors.
That's amazing. And again, you're in Wyoming, so there's
Yes.
So much land there, so much to do.
There is. We live in very rural Wyoming, so there's a lot of space, a lot of animals.
Yep. If we're listening to music in the gym, what are we putting on?
So my favorite playlist in the gym, if I'm just on like Spotify, is DMX radio.
Okay. Okay. You have to meet Lauren Taylor at the games. She loves DMX.
Yeah, it's just like good, high energy. Yeah,
Yeah,
my fave.
that's awesome. I love that. I love that. All right, final question in the lightning round. Fill in the blank. Adaptation has taught me blank.
Patience and gratitude.
Mhm.
You know, I have to learn that some things are not going to come as easy to me, and I just need to be consistent and continue to work on them. And just grateful that I still am able to move my body. You know, I could have had a much worse outcome, and I think that it does the things that it can still do is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, our bodies are remarkable with what they can do. Yeah. All right, so I've just got two final questions for you as we wrap up. One, if there's somebody listening to this who wants to try adaptive fitness or try out adaptive CrossFit, what would you tell them to encourage them?
Just go for it. You know, everybody has their goals, and just like set your little goals and meet them. And the first thing, the hardest step is showing up. You know, you can get in the gym and be consistent for 2 weeks. You're going to fall in love with it and just make it part of your life.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And then if you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself, maybe 13 years ago, 14 years ago, what would you tell her?
Start exercise early. Like, be active, work out, do the running, lift the weights. The sooner you start, the better off you're going to be in this life.
Yep. Well, McKenzie, it's been so nice to get to spend some time with you. I'm excited to meet you at the games and your whole family.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we will all be there. I'm very excited, a little nervous, but it's going to be a really awesome experience, I think.
I probably don't need to tell you this as a martial artist, but the nerves are a good thing, right? They tell you care.
Hopefully I don't, puke before I go out there.
Again, you would be great friends with Lauren Taylor if you do puke before you go out there. I'll have to introduce you to Lauren Taylor when we get to the games.
Sounds good.
They have puke buckets everywhere at the games. Don't worry about it. They're
Perfect.
also chalk buckets, but they can
I was gonna
double
say,
as
as long
puke
as it's
buckets.
not in the chalk.
Exactly. Oh man, this has been so much fun. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the podcast. If there's one thing you take away from this conversation with McKenzie, it's her answer at the end. Adaptation taught her patience and gratitude. She's slow to count anything out and quick to be grateful for what her body can do. And that mindset is why she's heading to the games and also quietly building the sport back in her home area. So here's your next step. If you're near a competition and they don't have an adaptive division yet, be the person who asks. You can ask about just going to a competition, let them know about your disability, let them know about wheel WOD, let them know about adaptations that you make in your workouts, and see if they'll make exceptions for you or put you in a scaled division or an intermediate division and let you do things a little bit differently. And here's my challenge for you. If they do, great. If they don't, still compete and make sure that everybody there knows your story. Make sure the floor announcer knows your story. Make sure that people who are watching on the railing know your story. Just like what I did at Sea Dog, you can be the translator so that people know what's possible in adaptive fitness. If this conversation landed with you, do me a favor. Follow the show, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a review so more people can find these stories. It helps build this thing up. I'm Matt Hotho, and I'll see you next time.